in general, I try to avoid inter-YouTuber drama because when I say I try to avoid drama, I matrix that shit. Let me give you a story from the original GG. See, back then, the social media was more personable. And every so often, one of the people running one of the groups or in the moderation of one of the groups would start beefing with another person, or just what happened in your friend circles in general. So I can't remember if the story is directly tied to moderation drama or not, but one time a friend came to me and said, "Hey, these two other friends, they're beefing about some drama, and we need to pick a side." I'm like, "Oh hell no. Here's what's gonna happen. In 2-3 days, those two are gonna make up, become friends again, and then everyone who picked a side is gonna be in trouble for exacerbating the situation." 2-3 days later, this same friend reaches out to me and is like, "Hey, Kevin, you know how you said that they would make up, that everyone who picked the side would be in trouble?" I'm like, "Yeah, that does sound like some wise shit that come out of my mouth. What about it?" It's like, "Yeah, well, that happened." He was smart, though. He took my advice and didn't take a side and just remained neutral. Like, there are ways to handle drama. And I'm not saying I'm immune to drama, but I do try to avoid it when possible. So a lot of times I've avoided putting out a video criticizing another YouTuber because I just don't want to start no beef, no drama, because it's not worth my time in life. That said, I have referenced some things that have been said by other YouTubers without mentioning them, as honestly, sometimes people just make mistakes. The point being, don't take this as me starting drama with Valiant Renegade. I'm just calling out some nonsense here. And then proving the point wrong, not going after him. James Gunn says Superman is about an immigrant that comes from other places and how we've lost the value of basic human kindness. Yes, it's about politics. And Valiant here, he says, well, that's not true. It's made up the headline. And I went to the actual source. I said that. And he doubles down here. It is not. Jonathan Dean injected all that stuff and prodded Gunn, who repeatedly pivoted away. Then Variety and Deadline manipulated and misquoted the headlines. It's nowhere near as bad as what was been made out by Hollywood media. And he may have a point on that. But then, as this person points out,
it is exactly what the movie is about. I think that, like, we support our people, you know? We love our immigrants. Yes, Superman is an immigrant. And yes, the people that we support in this country are immigrants. And if you don't like that, then you're not American. People who it is exactly.
yes, that is James Gunn saying exactly what he is reiterating in this article, or should we say interview. And we hop over here to the Variety article. We can see the quotes and all that jazz. It's a pretty short article. But they reference the Times of London interview. So we hop over here to the Times of London interview. And honestly, Variety was nice about this. Like, he said stuff that is damning for this movie. And frankly, if you want my opinion, yeah, it's probably going to be just woke slop. And even if it isn't that woke, because as you know, wokeness is kind of like radiation at this point after a nuclear bomb, it's pretty much everywhere. It looks shit. It looks uninteresting. And I have no interest in watching it whatsoever. Now, should you take that as gospel? I mean, it's up to you. I generally don't like movies, so if I'm recommending a movie, it might be really good, and you might want to take that as hint, like, okay, Kevin, who doesn't like movies, is recommending a movie. I gotta check that out. Or you could just be like, okay, Kevin's not really a movie guy. His opinion's his opinion. Take it what you want. We scroll down here. Yes, it's about politics, Gunn says. But on another level, it's about morality. Do you never kill no matter what? Which is what Superman believes. Or do you have some balance, as Lois believes? See, we had something like this throughout history where you had an unelected judge, jury, and executioner. Never ended well. And for some reason, you have people in America who want to go back to that standard as their government is bombing civilians in the Middle East. As their government, through the CIA, has done some extremely heinous stuff. Kind of insane, but let's continue. It's really about their relationship and the way different opinions on basic moral beliefs can tear two people apart. That's actually an interesting exploration, but Gunn is not a kind of person I would say is capable of really exploring that. Because to do a good exploration of that, you have to look at it through the contexts of history. Now, I am an authoritarian, but I generally advocate for more libertarian beliefs because I trust my judgment. But I don't trust the judgment of anyone else, and I am smart enough to know that you don't create power that can be used against you. So, where I would trust my judgment on something like, do you kill some people or not? Do you really want to trust anyone else's judgment? And then where do we stop on whose judgment do we trust? In a pure democracy, the most hated people can just be killed for absolutely no reason. And throughout history, yes, some groups of people have made a nuisance of themselves, but many people were just like, hey, we don't want you on that land because we want that land. Or, hey, the government needs to scapegoat somebody because we're communists. And congratulations, you're going to be part of that 200 million dead statistic. That's why we have a system. And exploring this concept through the lens of Superman and superheroes in general is kind of nonsensical, as you have to wonder, okay, why is the government not stepping in? Like, take the argument about Batman and the Joker. Why does Batman not kill? Why does the US government in the DC universe let a domestic terrorist run around? Yo, I tell the government I'm not paying taxes, the government will put my ass down. They'll be like, oh, Kevin, you're going to prison. I'm like, well, I ain't going to prison. Like, want to bet? And then they will kill me. But in the DC universe, you can chemical attack a US city and the federal government will do nothing. And let's talk about when Joker breaks out. Have you ever looked up what happens when anyone breaks out of jail? How trigger happy the police are? And you're telling me a domestic terrorist, because the Joker is a domestic terrorist. You can argue Penguin's a mob boss and would have a different standard, but the Joker is a straight domestic terrorist. He breaks out of jail, the cops are killing him in real life. The state police are killing. And here's the thing. Oftentimes, like, well, Gotham is corrupt, and that's how they get it. Like, no, you don't understand. When you break out of prison, it's not a city police issue anymore. The state and Fed get involved. Gotham PD can be as corrupt as it wants. The Court of Owls can be as corrupt as they want. When the state and Fed get involved, Joker's getting put down. And after he broke out, anytime, that would demonstrate he is too dangerous to be left in a facility like Arkham. When we're talking, why do these people not kill people? You really have to ask, why is the government not doing their job? And that doesn't really get brought up. And then we look at the flip side of this as he's going to go on and talk about how Superman's going to intervene in this conflict, which is not mirroring the Middle East conflict as this was written before that got kicked off. And it raises the question, do you really want someone who's not going to assume the mantle of emperor, dictating how your general affairs are going to go down. It's easy to say, oh, yes, someone should intervene when bad guy attacking good guy. But what if it's not black and white? What if the status quo is actually the evil, but it's not super overt? See, this is a very complex topic, and it goes into a lot of morality. It goes into a lot of philosophy. It goes into a lot of history. And you're not going to get that in a superhero movie. And frankly, I've talked philosophy with people sometimes, and yeah, they zone out. So you are definitely not going to get a deep exploration of that from a movie. So I don't even know why you are trying to do that with a movie like Superman in the first place. But let's continue. And before you say Superman has gone woke, this is all Superman's lengthy history. Superman was written by men from immigrant families, and the United States National High Commissioner for Refugees once released a book in Italy titled Superman Was a Refugee Too. Less than 10 years ago, DC Comics backed World Refugee Day. The Man of Steel story is the ultimate example of refugee who makes his new home better. In the edition of Action Comics number 987, Superman saves a group of undocumented workers from a violent racist. No. There is no such thing as undocumented workers. They're illegally working in the United States, and Superman just helped criminals. He helped criminals on two levels: illegally in the country, and on top of that, working illegally, taking jobs that could be done by people who are legally citizens, thus driving down wages. Now, I don't know how much of that is a quote, because some of that's in quotes, some of it's not. So this article's kind of weirdly written like that. And yes, they do reference Trump. This Superman is playful, he enjoys the job, yet the film is coming out during a summer protest about President Trump's plan for and rhetoric about immigrants, which is jolting given that Superman makes clear that he is a refugee from another place who came to the US. Yeah. And here's a good question right now. Remember that conversation we were just having earlier about morality? Is it moral for Superman to be getting in the way of kicking people out of the country that do not belong here, who violated the laws? Why is Superman not kicking these people out? Because refugee law is very specific. You get to pick the nation right next to you or the closest one that is not in conflict. 90+% of people claiming refugee status in the United States are not adjacent to the United States. They are economic refugees or economic migrants who are just seeking to exploit a better life here in America because the system is better. They do not qualify for refugee status. So claiming they're refugees is just patently absurd. And Superman is going to defend these people. So Superman is now breaking the laws and violating the ideal of national sovereignty. How is Superman the good guy now? I mean, Superman is a story of America, Gunn says. An immigrant that came from other places and populated the country. But for me, it's mostly a story that says the basic human kindness is a value and is something we have lost. We haven't lost it. We're not an infinite charity. We're not here to allow you to tip the balance of the census, giving you guys extra seats. We're not here to allow you guys to have slave labor. We're not here for you guys to have sex trafficking victims that you can play with while denying the Epstein list exists. Now, full admission, that is Trump's DOJ and Trump's FBI saying that. But that controversy also occurred underneath Biden. See, this is morally twisting it. One of the rules for radicals is to use your values against you. He believes your value is kindness. So he's using your value of being unkind as a negative against you. The only way to defeat that is to categorically deny it. I asked if he has considered how differently the film might play in, say, a blue state, New York, or Metropolis, and Kansas, where Kent grew up. Yes, it plays differently, Gunn admits, but it's about human kindness, and obviously there will be jerks out there who are not kind and will take it offensive just because it is about kindness, but screw them. It's about kindness, guys. You just have to accept people who are here illegally, guys, otherwise you're a bad person. You know what? You can say maybe Gunn was jostled into saying this stuff, but Gunn strip is saying you're a bad person if you don't want legal immigrants in your country. That is right in between the lines. That's barely between the lines. Let's continue. This Superman does not seem to come at a particular time when people are feeling a loss of hope in others' goodness, Gunn adds. I'm telling a story about a guy who is uniquely good. No, he ain't. And that feels needed now because there is a meanness that has emerged due to cultural figures being mean online. Dude, just say Trump. I'll have more respect for you if you just say Trump and other right-wing sources. Just name them. At least then you wouldn't look like a fucking pussy. When I was growing up, I thought of the big three. Superman was the archetypal American hero, but Gunn disagrees. His market research showed that people around the globe think of him as far more international. Yes, he has the homespun Americanisms from his boyhood in Kansas, but he remains an alien just like his creators felt they were almost a century ago. He is a hero of the world, Gunn sums up. The question is, how will the world take him? Now, some of that is a quote right there, and that is just more hammering the point home. And we're right back to the good old, the American way can get stripped out of Superman's narrative and origin. So, yeah, this movie's woke, guys. It's straight woke. It's straight going to be garbage. And frankly, and this is just frankly, even if you stripped out every element of politics, all the previews look like dog shit. Some people say it's millennial humor because they can never write anything that takes anything seriously. But however you want to call it, it just looks unfunny, unentertaining, and kind of like a joke. And then there's been defenses saying that, oh, this is Superman's origin. He's less mature. I'm sorry. When I was a Superman's age, I didn't act like a clown show. Most people, when they're Superman's age, don't act like clown shows. I don't know what insular circles you come from where you think that's a viable defense, but it's really just sad how immature your circles are. And I say that as someone who's going to love the hell out of the Naked Gun. Yeah, that's not highbrow entertainment. That's just dumb fart joke tier humor. And I'm going to love the hell out of that when I watch it when it comes to streaming, aka rental. I'm not like, oh, I'm so smart. I'm just saying straight up, like, I'm lowbrow. And even I'm looking at this like, yo, bro, you're just immature. There's a time and place for all things. And how does Gunn think this is going to resonate with Americans today? Who out there, even Gen Z, Gen Alpha, is going to look at Superman as an identifiable character? We're at a point where we're about to economically collapse. We can't afford food. And the Democrats have been losing month over month in every poll on the issue of illegal immigrants. Every month. People are sick of this. And you're making a movie where the central theme is, oh, we have to give everything we have. Hey, Gunn, I have to ask you, as a socialist, as a Marxist, why aren't you giving up all your wealth to help out these poor, impoverished people? Because when the Christians say they want to help the downtrodden, they donate what they can to the church and through church charities and other charities, because it's not just exclusive to church, they actually help people. They help out their friends when they're in need. Now, there are plenty of two-faced people out in the world. Every group has them. Every group on the planet has two-faced people who will say one thing and then be a complete hypocrite. Every group. But kindness is not lost in America. We're just done with your nonsense. And frankly, I think people tolerated your nonsense way too long. And the only reason they're now sick of you is because they're inheriting and experiencing the consequences that were sown for them. But that's now going into a full-on political rant. So we're going to cut it off there. As you can see, yes, Gunn is woke. Superman movie will be woke. Now, there are rumors that Gunn might get gone, that Warner Brothers is very upset about him making this all political. I'll believe it when I see it. I've heard this nonsense so many times, not, attacking Doomcock or anything like that. You hear these rumors all the time where these people are done, they're going to get gone. Now, Doomcock has not said that Kenny was going to get gone, just that he heard people talking about her leaving. Completely different. So, not saying Doomcock claimed stuff he didn't claim, because that's actually come up and Doomcock has had to defend himself against that. But I've heard this so many times that Kennedy's getting gone from many sources. I've heard that Zaslav's going to crack down the woke, Disney's reforming. You hear it all the time. I don't believe it until I see it. These people are flat out incompetent, and they make the neo-feudalism so obvious. It's painful. I miss when I was younger. At least then they were able to capably hide the discrimination and double standards. Now they just rub it in your face, daring you to do something about it. Let me know what you think about this. Hit that like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.